What if I told you that one of the most terrifying invasion stories ever written wasn't created by a modern science fiction author, but by a Victorian gentleman in 1898? Today, we're diving deep into H.G. Wells's masterpiece, The War of the Worlds, a book that didn't just predict the future of science fiction, but literally caused mass panic when adapted for radio 40 years later. This isn't your typical alien invasion story. This is the story that invented the genre and still sends chills down readers' spines over a century later. H.G. Wells crafted The War of the Worlds during a period of British imperial dominance, yet he dared to imagine what would happen if humanity suddenly found itself on the receiving end of colonisation. Published in 1898, this groundbreaking novel emerged from Wells's fascination with astronomy and his observations of Mars through telescopes, combined with his deep understanding of human nature and social dynamics. The book represents far more than entertainment. It's a mirror held up to Victorian society, reflecting anxieties about technology, empire, and humanity's place in the universe. Wells wrote this during the height of British colonialism, deliberately drawing parallels between Martian conquest of Earth and European conquest of indigenous peoples. The timing wasn't coincidental, it was revolutionary. What makes this work extraordinary is Wells' methodical approach to storytelling. He doesn't simply throw aliens at readers, he builds a scientifically plausible scenario, grounds it in real geography, and then systematically dismantles human civilization piece by piece. The narrative unfolds through the eyes of an unnamed narrator, creating an intimate, almost documentary-style account of humanity's darkest hour. The novel's influence extends far beyond literature. It established the template for countless invasion narratives, from Independence Day to District 9. More importantly, it forced readers to confront uncomfortable truths about human vulnerability, technological dependence, and the fragility of civilization itself. Wells created a story that remains urgently relevant in our age of global uncertainty. The story begins innocuously enough, with strange explosions observed on Mars, dismissed by Earth's astronomers as natural phenomena. These gas eruptions are actually massive cannons launching cylindrical projectiles toward Earth, carrying an invasion force that will forever change human history. The first cylinder crashes in Woking, Surrey, near London, where our narrator witnesses the emergence of creatures that defy human imagination. These Martians aren't the little green men of popular culture. They're grotesque, tentacled beings with massive brains and minimal bodies, having evolved far beyond physical labour. Their technology dwarfs human achievement, towering tripod fighting machines equipped with heat rays that vaporise anything in their path, and a poisonous black smoke that kills indiscriminately. Within hours, they're systematically destroying everything humans have built. The narrator becomes separated from his wife during the chaos and embarks on a desperate journey through a collapsing England. He encounters various survivors, each representing different aspects of human response to catastrophe, from the pragmatic to the philosophical to the completely unhinged. Meanwhile, his brother fights through panicked crowds fleeing London, witnessing the complete breakdown of social order. As the Martians advance, their tripods striding across the countryside like mechanical demons, human military forces prove laughably inadequate. Artillery bounces off their armour, battleships are destroyed with casual ease, and entire cities fall within days. The invaders begin reshaping Earth for their own purposes, using human blood as nourishment in a horrifying reversal of the food chain. Yet just as total defeat seems certain, the Martians begin dying from something they never anticipated: Earth's bacteria. Having evolved on a sterile Mars, they possess no immunity to the microscopic life forms that humans have lived alongside for millennia. The same biological processes that make Earth habitable for humans prove lethal to the invaders, delivering salvation through the smallest possible agents. The Martian cylinder's arrival marks the beginning of humanity's nightmare. The first cylinder lands on Horsell Common, drawing curious crowds who expect a meteorite but discover something far more sinister. When the cylinder begins unscrewing from within, spectators witness the emergence of creatures that immediately incinerate anyone who approaches using their heat ray technology. This opening sequence establishes the Martians' technological superiority and complete disregard for human life, setting the tone for everything that follows. The deployment of the fighting machines represents the invasion's second phase. These massive tripods, towering above buildings and moving with impossible grace, carry heat rays and chemical weapons that make human resistance futile. The narrator watches in horror as these mechanical nightmares stride across the landscape, their tentacles manipulating controls with alien precision. Each tripod becomes a mobile fortress of destruction, capable of devastating entire towns within minutes. The military's systematic defeat demonstrates the hopelessness of human resistance. Wells describes battles where humanity's most advanced weapons, artillery, ironclad warships, and coordinated army units, prove completely ineffective against Martian technology. The destruction of the HMS Thunderchild, one of the Navy's most powerful vessels, serves as a particularly devastating example of human military impotence. Even when humans demonstrate courage and tactical skill, their weapons simply cannot penetrate Martian defences. The narrator's separation from his wife and subsequent journey becomes a powerful exploration of human behaviour under extreme stress. Forced to navigate a world where familiar landmarks have been destroyed and social structures have collapsed, he encounters survivors who react differently to catastrophe. Some maintain their humanity through acts of kindness and cooperation, while others descend into selfishness and brutality. This journey reveals how crisis strips away social pretenses and reveals core human nature. The introduction of the red weed symbolises Earth's transformation under Martian influence. This alien vegetation spreads rapidly across the landscape, turning familiar environments into something unrecognisable and hostile. The red weed's growth represents more than ecological change. It's a visual metaphor for how invasion transforms not just politics and society, but the very physical world humans inhabit. Wells uses this botanical invasion to show how completely the Martians intend to remake Earth. The narrator's encounter with the artilleryman provides crucial insight into human adaptation strategies. This soldier has developed elaborate plans for underground human resistance, complete with tunnel networks and guerrilla warfare tactics. However, his grandiose schemes reveal themselves as fantasy when confronted with practical reality. This episode explores how people cope with trauma through elaborate mental constructions that provide psychological comfort but little practical value. The curate's mental breakdown offers a dark mirror to the artilleryman's fantasies. Trapped in a house partially destroyed by a Martian cylinder, the narrator must deal with a religious man whose faith has been shattered by the invasion. The curate's descent into madness, including his dangerous outbursts that threaten their hiding place, illustrates how some individuals simply cannot process catastrophic change. His eventual fate serves as a grim reminder that survival often requires sacrificing ideals for practical necessities. The discovery of the Martians' vulnerability to Earth's bacteria provides the story's resolution, but it's a victory that feels hollow rather than triumphant. The narrator finds London filled with dead Martians and their abandoned machines, victims of microorganisms they never considered. This ending suggests that humanity's survival depends not on courage, technology, or strategy, but on biological accident. The victory belongs to bacteria, not to human heroism, leaving survivors to contemplate their place in a universe where they're neither as important nor as secure as they once believed. The fragility of human civilization emerges as perhaps the book's most disturbing revelation. Wells demonstrates how quickly the structures we consider permanent can collapse when faced with sufficient pressure. Modern readers living through global pandemics, climate change, and technological disruption can readily understand how rapidly normal life can disappear. The novel suggests that our confidence in civilization's stability may be dangerously misplaced, encouraging readers to consider how dependent we are on systems we rarely question. Human adaptability reveals itself in both positive and negative forms throughout the invasion. Some characters demonstrate remarkable resilience, finding ways to survive and even help others despite impossible circumstances. Others, however, become selfish, cruel, or completely dysfunctional when their familiar world disappears. This duality suggests that crisis doesn't create character traits but reveals them, stripping away social facades to expose underlying human nature. The dangers of technological overconfidence permeate the narrative. Victorian England's military and industrial prowess, source of such national pride, proves utterly inadequate against superior technology. Contemporary readers can easily draw parallels to modern debates about artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and other advancing technologies. Wells warns against assuming that current technological leadership guarantees future security, especially when facing unknown challenges. The psychology of panic and mass hysteria plays a crucial role in the story's development. Wells carefully documents how fear spreads through populations, creating dangerous situations that sometimes prove more immediately threatening than the original crisis. The scenes of crowds fleeing London illustrate how collective panic can destroy social cooperation precisely when it's most needed. This insight remains relevant for understanding contemporary phenomena, from financial market crashes to social media-driven mass reactions. The arbitrary nature of survival challenges comfortable assumptions about justice and merit. The narrator survives not through superior skill, or moral worth, but through luck and circumstance. Meanwhile, many admirable characters perish despite their best efforts. This randomness reflects Wells's rejection of simple morality tales in favour of more complex truths about how catastrophes actually unfold, where survival often depends more on chance than character. The relationship between coloniser and colonised receives sophisticated treatment through the alien invasion metaphor. Wells deliberately parallels Martian treatment of humans with European treatment of indigenous peoples, forcing readers to confront uncomfortable truths about imperial expansion. The heat ray's indiscriminate destruction mirrors the devastating effects of European diseases on Native American populations, while the Martians' dismissal of human intelligence echoes colonial attitudes toward primitive peoples. The role of science and observation in understanding reality becomes increasingly important as the story progresses. The narrator's scientific background helps him make sense of Martian technology and behaviour, while other characters' ignorance leads to dangerous decisions. Wells advocates for rational observation over emotional reaction, suggesting that understanding threats requires careful analysis rather than panic or wishful thinking. The interconnectedness of biological systems provides the story's ultimate lesson. The bacteria that defeat the Martians exist in symbiotic relationship with human life, having evolved alongside humanity for millions of years. This biological partnership, invisible to most people, proves more powerful than any human weapon. The lesson suggests that understanding our place in larger systems, biological, ecological and social, may be crucial for long-term survival. Environmental transformation under invasion illustrates how completely external forces can reshape familiar landscapes. The red weed's spread shows how quickly environments can become alien and hostile, while the Martians' feeding habits demonstrate how invaders can fundamentally alter existing biological relationships. These themes resonate strongly with contemporary environmental concerns about habitat destruction and climate change. The importance of hope and human connection emerges even in the darkest circumstances. Despite witnessing horrific destruction, the narrator maintains his desire to reunite with his wife and rebuild meaningful relationships. This persistence of human emotional needs, even during catastrophe, suggests that maintaining social bonds may be essential for both individual survival and species continuity. The War of the Worlds endures because it captures something fundamental about human vulnerability and resilience. Wells created more than entertainment. He crafted a philosophical examination of humanity's place in the universe, wrapped in a thrilling narrative that refuses to provide easy comfort. The novel's power lies not in its alien invaders, but in its unflinching examination of how we respond when our assumptions about safety and superiority are shattered. The book's influence on popular culture cannot be overstated. From Orson Welles' famous radio broadcast to countless film adaptations, the story continues generating new interpretations for each generation. Yet the original text remains more sophisticated and disturbing than most adaptations, refusing to soften its implications or provide false reassurance about humanity's future. What makes this work essential reading is its combination of scientific speculation with deep psychological insight. Wells understood that the most frightening stories aren't about monsters, but about the monsters we might become when civilization crumbles. His aliens serve as catalysts for exploring human nature under extreme pressure, revealing both our capacity for nobility and our potential for degradation. The novel's contemporary relevance feels almost prophetic. In an age of global connectivity, climate change and technological disruption, Wells's vision of rapid civilizational collapse seems less fantastical than it might have to previous generations. The book serves as both warning and preparation, encouraging readers to consider how they might respond to unprecedented challenges while there's still time to develop resilience and wisdom.